One man will always be known for the phrase,
Are you kidding me?
that man is John McEnroe. And that phrase became famous when he got thrown out of the Australian Open. Here's the story behind this iconic event. Welcome to the Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a quick deep dive into sports history every day. It was a day that changed the course of a legendary career. A day that saw the fiery John McEnroe meet his match in the form of an unforgiving rulebook. Now we're going to go back to the day John McEnroe was thrown out of the Australian Open. John McEnroe was one of the greatest tennis players in the 80s and early 90s, known for his fiery on-the-court demeanor. But that fire won him many championships, many Grand Slams, but it also was contradictory to the etiquette of tennis at the time, where no one raised their voice or argued about anything. McEnroe was no stranger to controversy. Coming up at the 1990 Australian Open was a turning point in his career. The incident only looks strange viewed from today's world of technology and electronic line calling. If the technology had been available, McEnroe may have not been that argumentative player that he is known for. On that day, facing Mikel at the Australian Open, McEnroe takes the court. But he didn't know that this would be a turning point in his career, changing everything by the end of the day. He was facing a default that was almost thinkable for a player of his caliber. The old rules, with their four-step process, led to McEnroe's default. But what if the new rules had been in place? Would history be different? The first set easily, but his opponent raised the level of his game to win the second set. After the players traded service breaks in the third, McEnroe led 2-1. During the changeover, he stopped in front of the lineswoman that he thought made a bad call, glaring at her while bouncing the ball on his racket. The chair umpire, Gary Armstrong, gave McEnroe a conduct code violation for his unsportsmanlike conduct. And bigger trouble began in the seventh game of the fourth set, with McEnroe leading and hitting a forehand that went wide to go down 15-30. McEnroe threw his racket on the ground. It bounced on the court's hard surface. Then another McEnroe forehand went wide, causing another racket smash, this one cracking the racket's head. Armstrong called another code violation for racket abuse. McEnroe was now enraged and started swearing at him, demanding an intervention with the Grand Slam supervisors, where McEnroe continued complaints and swearing, audible to spectators and TV viewers. With the Grand Slam authorities' authorization, Armstrong called a third code violation, disqualifying McEnroe from the game. Everyone in the stands began to boo, and McEnroe stood stunned. No one had been disqualified from a major since 1963, and no one had ever been disqualified from the Australian Open. The reason McEnroe was dumbfounded, because the rule had always been a four-step process, 4 defaults and you're out. But they had recently adopted a more baseball-like rule with a 3-step process: a warning, a penalty point, then a disqualification. This is a famous clip if you've ever seen John McEnroe, where he's arguing, voicing his discontent, and cursing. And even with all this, John McEnroe did change the game, allowing for more talking and discussion, and focusing on getting the calls right than wrong. Later on, his opponent even agreed with McEnroe, saying yes, the call was wrong, and McEnroe was correct. Hard not to be angry when you are correct. Thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you want to see pictures from today's story, you can see them on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, or see a short video on YouTube, all at Daily Sports History. And come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History.